Hey folks, welcome back to Maypole Farm, and we are starting off with a little bit of pre-recorded footage to get things rolling. I plan to pre-record a bit more of this on Sunday, but Sunday didn't go quite as planned as everything seems to be at the moment, but we are progressing with the mowing. The grass is still very wet, so we are going to have to ted and windrow. So frustratingly, my master plan of leasing the Big M to speedily get through things hasn't really worked out. But the big mower does allow for faster cutting, so I think it was worth doing in the end. But Moisture System has thrown the odd spanner in the works. So while Horseplay is cutting the grass, I'm going to get these bales picked up. Then I'm going to lease a bigger windrower, tedder even, because we're going to have to ted the field that we're mowing now and the other field twice to get the moisture low enough to make decent silage. I think I'm going to stick with the same windrower because it's big enough and, you know, it did an okay job. It's really the tedding that's slowing the process down. So that's what we'll go with. And this is the tedder that we're going to lease. It's like a really good size. The Merlot can run it, so that's quite good. Keeps everything else freed up for doing other jobs. So yeah, the plan was to do a bit more and basically have a pre-recorded video of getting all of the grass work done and do a commentary over the top. If you watched the last Timberborn video, I think I mentioned it in that. My noisy neighbour on Sunday was a complete arse, to the point where Mrs. D had to go and ask them to shut up. They've been really annoying lately, but on Sunday they were, Saturday night into Sunday, they were really annoying. And basically, with my noise sensitivity, the kind of stress of that messed my day up. And I didn't feel like sitting recording. I didn't feel like sitting playing video games. I essentially sat and didn't do very much for most of Sunday. Just kind of processing stress. You might not understand that as a normal person. But yeah, I don't deal with stress very well. I don't deal with loud noise very well, and they were being very noisy. Loud music, lots of loud speaking, and yeah. Anyway, I'll hand you over now to future me. We'll carry on chatting to you guys. So that was future me, and now it's actual me. And actually it wasn't really future me because it was only like a few minutes ago that I recorded the voiceover, which I don't know. Anyway, so I'm tedding the grass in this field because I can't read what number it is because the Courseplay course is over it for a second time. The first time took it to largely just over 15%. Now, in theory, I could try and wait for the weather to dry it a little bit, but because it's March and I just want to get this done, I've adjusted the settings of the tedder so that it's going to reduce it by, I think, 2 or 3%. So it's going to get us under 15% moisture for this field, or for the grass in this field. So we shouldn't be seeing any hay appearing. We should just have nicely dried grass behind us, which is cool. Over here, we have finished mowing now. It's not perfect. It doesn't need to be. We're just clearing up cover crop. Now, I'm undecided if I want to hang on to the Big M for 2 game days to mow the other big field. I'm going to park it up for now and decide later on if I want to take that cost hit for the speed benefit later on. That's not a good place to sleep, doggy boy. So yeah, I'm just going to park it up for now. We'll have a chat with the dealer as to whether we're going to hang on to it or not. Actually, we'll just have a quick look. Little look, see. What's the... That's not going to tell me. Let's go back out of here. Go back in here. Large M. Lease. It's cost per work day. So it's $5,000 a day. It's a lot. It's a lot. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Now, what I can't remember, maybe one of you can comment down below, because there will be time. Does that cost per day account for days per month? So is it going to cost me $5,000 or is it going to cost me $10,000? Because if it's $5,000, I might hold on to it. If it's $10,000, then maybe not. Because that's a lot of cash. Now, if we go over to screw it, let's cheat. Yes, he's a dirty cheater. And so this grass is at 19, 90, let's call it 20%. And the bottom of the hill will be worse because moisture flows down the field. So we're at 20%. I better not adjust to the Tedder's settings. Someone remember 20%, please. Because we'll see if we can... I don't think we can get the Tedder set up to be efficient enough to do it in a single pass. Because we'd need to take 5% off, and I don't think we can do that in one pass. So maybe we'll do 3% and 3%. That will get us low enough to be good for moisture system. Well, good enough to get under the 15% that we want to not have a loss when the bales ferment out. Now, if you're maybe not explained very well, I think I mentioned it in previous video with moisture system and making silage. If you have a moisture level above 15%, when the bales ferment out, you will lose an amount of yield, and that varies depending on the moisture level. And initially, it's not very high. I don't remember the exact number, and I don't have the document handy that I've started to write to tell you what that is. And I know previously I had the percentage for hay wrong, and again, I don't have the document handy to tell you what that number is. I think it's 9% for hay, but I don't want to give you the wrong number. So I am working on a document with all the information in it so that I can then produce a little video on how moisture system works in the style that I used to do. But I want to wait until I have the right energy level to put that video together. And although I've just come off of 2 weeks off of work, I found that 2 weeks off of work was kind of weird. It was nearly 2 weeks off work. Wasn't quite, because I went back to work on the Friday and I was in work on the Monday and Tuesday before, so it was only really like just over a week. I think it was like 10 days off work. And it was mostly time spent chilling out, relaxing, recovering, which is kind of weird. As I've gotten older and less mentally robust, I'm going to say that, and I have accepted some of the features of my brain, I need to I just essentially need mental downtime to recover from life. And so I had that time off work to basically let my brain recover a bit. And it meant I didn't get a lot done. And towards the end of that week, I think I've spoken about it, I had the fun curveball thrown in of being told that someone in the house had decided you can probably work it out, that we were getting new windows. And that kind of threw me out for a little bit, because it meant people coming, we had a couple of visits of sales people coming to the house to quote for windows, and then someone coming to do final measure up and all that kind of stuff. And I don't like people coming to the house. You could just stop it at I don't like people, but yeah. It was all very short notice. Now, we did need some windows replacing. We do need some windows replacing. We're getting some windows replaced. But it kind of screwed with my last few days off. And it kind of messed up the flow of things for me. And I basically ended both of the last 2 days of my time off with pretty stressy headaches. And then obviously going back to work kind of sucks. Today was my first proper day back at work, and had pretty frustrating meeting today. 2 pretty frustrating meetings today. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of whinging a bit, I guess. Anyway, let's get our tether settings adjusted, shall we? So probably you tweak the speed of the things a little bit, and you adjust the thingy and the thingy, and yeah. So we're not going to get that. So I think if we run it at 3%, do 2 passes at 3%, that'll get us where we need to be. We could do 2 passes at 4%. That'll also get us where we need to be and not be a problem. Let's do 2 passes at 4%. I think we'll be good. Yep. All right. Let's create an course. I think this field is a little bit squarer, so we could do 2 headlands maybe. Let's generate ourselves an course. There's the start of said course. Let's get this going. Yes, I'm using a lot of course play. It's partly why I'd wanted to pre-record a lot of this, because I find lots of course play doesn't always make for the most interesting video to watch. But we've got a lot to get done, so that's why I'm making heavy use of course play. So we'll get that going. We'll jump in the Steyr and get bailing. So, and not the chucking water out of the boat, bailing, wrapping grass. You know the deal. You know the deal. We farming. So speaking of farming, funny you're here. Anyway, I was driving to work this morning because that's how I get to work, unless I'm working at home, because I can't walk to work because it's like 70 miles, and that would be stupid. That's a different story. We could talk about that. About me being stupid. Yeah, I know. No. Right. Select the baler. Bale size is correct. Lower the pickup, turn the baler on. I was driving to work this morning. Pulled into a services because I have to drive on the motorway, and so pulled into a services to grab a snack because it was early, and I don't make food before I leave because I try and get going as quickly as possible. Yes, it costs a bit more, but anyway. And in the car park of said service station was on the back of a lorry, an older Massey Ferguson. And it looked really cool. That was barely daylight, so I didn't get the best view of it, and I was going past it, and I just kind of spotted it as I was going past it. But yeah, it was cool. There's a little bit of hay there. It was cool seeing old tractor, because you don't see so many older tractors on the road like that. But it wasn't on the road, it was on a lorry, but you know what I mean. You don't see so many of those out and about, so it's cool. Yeah. And I kind of thought, hey, I'll mention it to you guys. You guys like tractors generally, I hope. So we are getting a little bit of hay, as I guess as we triple pass over some of the stuff, but it'll be okay. Yeah, so that was kind of cool. Yeah, walking to work. So at the moment I'm not running. Part of not feeling generally great. It keeps missing. I haven't got sound on, so I can't hear the baler beep going to alert me to the fact that the baler's full, which is why I keep missing the fact that the baler's full. Anyway, yeah, I'm not running at the moment, but I'm trying to convince myself to get back to running. I'm trying to work out how to get my motivation back, but apart from dealing with a knee injury and a shoulder injury. And if you watch the last Timberborn video, you'll have heard me whinge a lot about the shoulder injury, because the setup, I'm in a hotel tonight, and the setup, when I initially set up, was really aggravating my shoulder injury. I've got it, so it's kind of not so much now. But anyway, and somehow over the weekend I seem to have aggravated one of my knees as well, and it's certainly not through exercise, because there ain't a lot of that going on. But anyway, back when I was doing stupid ultra running things, and I do want to go back to that at some point. So my journey to work is about 70 miles, which, you know, I don't even like to drive that far. Yes, we know, it's funny. I had looked at if there was a way that I could run from home to work or work to home, and there are routes. It's kind of a bit tricky because the Thames gets in the way, but you know, you just don't cross it at where I cross it, because I cross it on the Dartford crossing, and you can't run across that. But you just cross it, you know, the other side, or you can cross it going through London. There's plenty of places you can cross it, but and bits of the running route are not the nicest in the world, from what I understand now, because there are races that go along that route, and there are stories of people not having the nicest of experiences. So yeah, I could walk to work. I could, in my peak of fitness, run to work. Well, run/walk to work. It would take a while, but I'm not sure I'd want to, because it's not, you go through some not nice parts of outer London and that kind of stuff. So yeah, anyway, I had also looked at, on a similar vein, walk/running to my parents, which is about 60 miles, I think, and doesn't involve such a horrendous route. But yeah, so when I'm going to ramble about running for a bit, and motivation. So because this is maybe a topic that's generally interesting to people. I don't know, because it's about goals and things like that. And some of you are here to watch me play video games. Some of you are here just for the shit that I ramble about. So we're going to ramble about some stuff because I need something to ramble about. And this is one that's been in my head for a little while. I watched a video by a fitness creator. He doesn't make many fitness videos these days. Mostly he and his wife make videos about their farm they own. And partly because he's struggling with his fitness journey, and so who's completed you've completed, so you are gonna need to go again, I think, sir. Yeah, but probably less. So let's just have a little fettle of the old tether again. Maybe knock it down a little bit more. And then get set up and go again. Yeah, so pretty much the whole time I've been doing YouTube, so the whole time I've been talking on YouTube, I've also been into running. The two are unrelated. But for pretty much the whole time that I've been running, I had the ridiculous goal that I achieved last year of running a 100-mile ultramarathon, and on and off through the, I don't know, 4, 5, however many years it was that I was training for that, because I started with that as a goal because, you know, I'm stupid. Having not even run a marathon or half marathon at that point, but having eventually achieved that goal last year, I kind of lost my motivation in a massive way. I did some things that managed to keep me going for a bit, but certainly since, you know, like January, February, running's really been off the cards, and some of that was linked to work getting very stressful, but the work stress has pretty much dropped away. But yeah, I've really struggled to get back on the wagon of feeling motivated to exercise, and generally feeling motivated to take care of myself, which is not great. You know, you should look after your body. You only get one of them currently. You know, maybe in the future with cybernetics and all that, we'll get more than one. But currently, we only get the one. And for a really long time, I've generally looked after mine, and I'm not so much now. And I think it's probably why suddenly all these little niggly injuries are coming out. Because I'm not as young as I once was. And suddenly my approaching 50-year-old body is sort of saying, you know, you need to look after me a little bit, and if you want to do these, if you want to randomly do stuff, then you need to look after it, basically, I think is what it's telling me. So, you know, it's like the shoulder problem, I think, came from just randomly deciding to go to the gym and randomly doing what I used to be able to do, thinking my body is like it used to be, when I'm living on a diet of utter junk food and not a lot of exercise. Yeah, so, and I'm supposed to be talking about motivation and all this. So for me, when I had this huge goal, I found that it was easy to stay motivated. Yes, I know I keep missing the counter. I'm not looking at the bale fill level, and I don't have sound on. This is not a new thing for us, folks. And I don't have the round bale thing either installed or it's just not working with this baler. Anyway, yeah, I found having a huge goal really helped with my motivation, and it was a ridiculous goal to be honest. You know, trying to achieve something like that from essentially nothing was stupid. I achieved it in the end, but it took me a really long time. But it was and there's I used to really like a saying of determination over motivation. You know, if you're determined to achieve something, it will get you further than if you're just motivated to achieve something. And I'm not sure now. I'm not sure. And I think it depends on who you are and how your brain works and all that kind of thing. Because I think there was obviously some kind of dopamine reward for me of working towards that huge goal, and it clearly appealed to a lot of the bits of my brain of, you know, I don't know. Yeah, it clearly it helps my brain. Exercise was really good for my mental health. My mental health is not as good when I'm not exercising. This I know. I know at the moment my mental health is nowhere near as good as it was when I was exercising to any level. There were a lot of negative patterns in my behaviors at the moment. I spend far too many hours doom scrolling on sites like Instagram and Facebook. Now the world is freaking on fire at the moment, and so I can partly blame that, maybe. You know, it's like there's a little bit of me that likes to be somewhat informed on how on fire the world is, but equally it's not healthy. It's not healthy to doom scroll on social media. But I find it really hard to break that cycle at the moment. And like the time I would have spent exercising is quite often spent doom scrolling on social media. And I can see that, you know, that's not healthy for me, but breaking that is really hard. Quite the last few before my holiday break, the last few Mondays when I was away, I was doing some exercise, but with the shoulder injury, which hasn't healed in that time, and the dodgy knee, I thought I should rest a little bit. I'm doing some like rehab for the shoulder to try and fix that. And if that doesn't work, I guess we'll go to the doctors. Yeah, it's one. It's my dad always says, "Don't get old." It's like, well, yeah, that triggers the old autistic part of the brain. If, well, I kind of can't not get old. Yeah, that happens, and I'm definitely feeling old at the moment. So that's all the tedding done, I believe. Yep. And we are good. So again, do I hang on to the tether as well? We're making a lot of money out of milk, so maybe I just hang on to all this grass working kit. Save myself a bunch of time. Okay, so we need to move you down to the field. We can at least get all of this baled today. And then I guess next game day is going to have to be all the planting and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah. I know this is not farming, but hey, I talk about random stuff. And occasionally we talk about this kind of mental health stuff and all that sort of thing. So I'm sure the world being in a bad state, the world is in a bad state, folks. So I don't want to talk about the minutia of the fact the world is in a bad place, but it's definitely affected my mental health in the last few weeks. You know, like, are we going to wake up tomorrow to the world having ended? Am I overreacting with that statement? There was a day when I was off work where I was curious if that was going to happen. Not quite the world ended, but felt like we were on the brink of some big things sometimes. And yeah, we are in a strange place, and it's like everything now is so expensive. I mean, it's interesting that like hotels currently haven't got more expensive. Fuel is obviously much more expensive, and I think that balance, if hotels stay at a similar price, which they might not with like the rising cost of energy and stuff, it's definitely cheaper for me to stay over at work than it is to drive to work. It's not yet. It's kind of a fine line for me, depending on how cheaply I can get a hotel. I can get hotels the hotel that I stay in most weeks when I'm away is really quite reasonable. It's not quite cheaper than driving to and from work. But when you account for the fact that driving to and from work takes me 3 hours, the cost benefit works out. Yeah. Anyway, we've made pretty good progress in this field. I'm not sure how many bales we got off of this field. It's quite a few. I somehow seem to have spent a long time talking about something. I've definitely spoken about something. So I am in a hotel. I actually don't know if I'm going to get this video edited and rendered tonight to even attempt to upload it. But I am in a hotel. This hotel has free Wi-Fi, which is pretty good. In that it has free Wi-Fi. The free Wi-Fi is variable. Let's go with that. The speeds are not great. Every so often I think about getting it's like my phone has 5G on it. I can tether my phone, but it's a bit of a pain, particularly as like once I've finished chatting to you guys while so there's a Timberborn video rendering on the laptop next to me because the new laptop is pretty sick at rendering videos. And whatever era used the word sick wants their slang back. But yeah, so I'm going to have like 4 videos to upload because I upload 2 copies of every video. If you didn't know, if you want, probably not for these videos, but most of the time Patreon gets early access to the videos. If you want to check that out, link down below. So I upload 2 copies of every video, so in theory 4 videos to upload, and they are huge. That's what she said. Probably not. And so it's like what I actually want to do once I've finished is probably sit and watch stuff on YouTube, or actually Twitch this evening, because there's a Twitch stream that I would like to sit and watch. But I can't do that if I'm trying to use my phone's 5G to also upload videos. And actually it's not that quick, and it's also not that reliable. So what I've been pondering many a time is getting another like data only service for uploading when I'm traveling. Partly because that is going to be a somewhat more regular thing. And so I don't know, it's something I've looked at. But it's really hard to guarantee that whatever hotel I'm staying in, I'll have like 5G reception or even half decent 4G reception on the right network. So, and it's huge amounts of data. So it's kind of like you can't do a super cheap data plan because it needs to have enough data to make it worth bothering with. So, and even like if you're staying in a hotel, certainly in the UK, even their better internet that you can pay for is often awful, and you don't know until you've paid for it that it's going to be awful. So yeah, I know there's lots of leftover grass. Don't care. So if we go into the stock check of saving time, we've just baled 165,000 litres of grass. We'll be okay, folks, because we've still got another field to do. And we've still got the big pasture to do. We'll be fine, I think. We'll be fine. But yeah, so I've kind of pondered about doing something so that I can have my own mobile data uploading abilities. But equally, it needs to be relatively cheap, because otherwise it's not worth me upload. Yeah, the cost benefit is not worth it. The cost benefit is not worth it. It'd just be better to wait until I get home tomorrow and upload them another day later. Which might have happened with this video. This video I might upload when I get home tomorrow. Just because it's easier. And it's kind of, so work has Wi-Fi that we can use for some, so we have a few different types of internet at work, and one of them is just a general access Wi-Fi, but I'm never completely comfortable using it for uploading YouTube stuff. I've done it sometimes, but it just feels a little bit wrong. So I don't know. I've done it a few times when I've been like away. Some of you, if you've been here long enough, might remember when I did a fairly one of the longer trips away I did. I was actually struggling to make content on that trip because work was really busy. But the other thing I was struggling with is the Wi-Fi in the accommodation I was staying in, and I was away for a month, was awful. So I could make videos, but I couldn't upload them. And I found that the Wi-Fi at the work site that I was visiting was okay. And so I would stick them on my phone and try and upload them from my phone whilst I was in work. But again, it felt a bit dodgy. So yeah. the day job is kind of more important than pushing out an extra YouTube video. Much as I love you guys, you know, the day job actually pays for me to have like a house and food and that kind of thing. Bit more important. It's a bit more important. But it'd be really nice if in this day and age, hotels actually gave decent free internet. So that one of the hotels that I visit with work does provide, actually two of them do provide decent free internet. Now they do also cost like 3 times as much to stay in as the hotel that I'm currently staying in, but I'm paying for this one, so you know. But yeah, they provide really good fast internet, faster than my home internet. They don't charge you for it. It's great. One of the reasons that one of the places that I travel to, I switched the hotel that I stay in, and when I first stayed there, so this will shock you, if you know me somewhat well. When I go away with work, I tend to try and stay in the same hotel every time. I know you're absolutely shocked, aren't you? And for a very long time, I always stayed in one particular hotel. It had relatively good internet for free. It had a gym, which was a nice bonus. And it actually had reasonably good food as well. And then for some reason, I couldn't book it. And I stayed in another hotel. And actually, when I first stayed in this other hotel, I didn't like it. Some things bugged me about it. And then, in particular, it's not great for setting up my traveling setup. It's a bit of a pain. But they have freaking brilliant internet. And particularly if I'm away for, like 2 or 3 days, which generally I am when I stay there, one of the biggest problems is uploading videos. So having somewhere that has really good internet actually is a really big benefit. And they have half decent food there as well. So yeah, I actually quite like staying there now. And although sometimes it's kind of expensive compared to what we're allowed to spend, the person that approves my hotel bills is understanding of the fact that I like staying in the same hotel. So yeah, she doesn't complain, which is really good. Sometimes I kind of stretch the limits on what we're allowed to spend because I like staying in, well, not necessarily a like, it's a, you guys know. If you don't know, well, stick around long enough and you'll pick up the stuff. Anyway, I think that I have probably been rambling away for plenty long enough at this point, and things are starting to get kind of achy sat in this horrendously uncomfortable chair, and I would like to get things rendering and go relax a little bit more, so and stop missing the bales being full. So, although I'm kind of curious how much we're going to end up with. The dilemmas. The dilemmas. Let's see if we can finish up, hey? Let's see if we can finish up. Yeah. I'm going to finish up and I'll come back. So, we're pretty much done. Up to 40 bales from the whole thing, which is pretty cool. So what's that, over 200,000 litres? we'll see in a bit. I had pondered going around the outside, picking up the little bits, but I don't think I'm going to bother. So I'm going to have to feed the cows this evening. In-game evening. We're going to have to pick all the bales up. How are the cows looking? The cows are somewhat okay. But yeah, if we check, so 225,500 litres. Let's see if we can finish the 42nd bale. Because that would be kind of cool. And then we'll call it a day. Hopefully we'll be good. But yeah, 42 bales of silage, which, and I think I'm using like 4 bales a day. So 10 days worth. Obviously we're going to get the full cut off of that field as well. Unless I hang on to some for indirect grazing. But the problem with indirect grazing is it doesn't give me the full health benefit unless I tweak the feeding. And I don't fancy doing that, so we're probably not going to indirect graze this year. So we'll keep going with TMR. So it'll be more silage probably coming. I can't be bothered to finish doing that bale. Screw it. There'll be more silage coming off of that field, but we're going to wait until April to get a full cut. Anyway, thank you to the patrons and the YouTube channel members. Appreciate you guys supporting the channel. You are all awesome. And I will see you all next time for lots of planting.